what's up guys? How are you there? So now I will discuss the differences, the historical development of physical education during the Renaissance in modern Europe, in Germany, Sweden, Denmark, and Great Britain, and also in American periods. So and also the difference also physical education in the Philippines between the Spanish regime and in American period. Okay guys, all right. So shall we start? So we start in the physical education during the Renaissance. When we see Renaissance, the age of rebirth and or in reborn. So we go back to the ancient time that PE they are not organized, and also but during the Renaissance period the PE was born again or continue the physical education that the revival of the living which brought about the dignity of man and a renewed spirit of nationalism. I believe that a good physical health promote learning and rest recreations were needed by body after study and work necessary for health preparation of people. However, the important contribution that physical education can make to the aesthetic, social, and moral life of society in Renaissance periods. So, according to Pope Pius II, in 1405 to 1464, physical education were good postures, body, health, and aids to learning. In physical education, according to Pope Pius, is very important to our body health and good postures, all of us. That's all the historical development of physical education during in the Renaissance period. Let's proceed to the physical education in modern Europe. Physical education in Europe is reflected in the contribution of these countries brought an advancement of the physical education, which is also associated with the names of its contributions. In the first, the physical education in the Germany. Johann Bernhard, based though in 1790, he established a school called Philanthropium, the first school in the modern Europe that he offered a program where physical education was a part of the curriculum. And also in Friedrich Ludwig John, the father of German gymnastics and Turner societies, he established Torverein, an association of gymnastics that exists today. Second one is the physical education in Sweden. According to Per Henrik Ling in 1776 to 1839, strove to make physical education a science or stressed that through anatomy and physiology one would be better able to understand the human body and its needs, and also it apply activity intelligently through the scientific approach. And also he established the Royal Central Institute of Gymnastics, Educational, Military, and Medical. And also, he utilized anatomy and physiology to determine such as things as the effects of exercise on different organs and system of the body. Third one, which is the physical education in Denmark. According to Franz Natztegel, in 1777 to 1950, he helped to introduce a physical education in public school of Denmark and established first outdoors in gymnasium devoted to physical training. Also, he played a large part in introducing physical education into public schools of Denmark and into teacher preparation. According to Niels Bock, introduced a primitive gymnastics. He attempted to build the perfect physics through a series of exercises that were performed without cessation
of movement.
Last one, the physical education in Great Britain. So in Great Britain is known as the home of outdoor sports, which is utilized a program of organizing games and sports. The English youth engage in physical activities as early as a time of Henry II, such as wrestling, throwing, riding, fishing, hunting, swimming, and skating. And also, according to Archibald Maclaren, in 1820 to 1884, he devised a system of physical education for the British Army. His work or points, he pointed out that the objectives of physical education should be considered health as more than important than strength. That physical education should be organized and administered effectively so that all its potentialities will be realized. And now let's proceed to the physical education in the Philippines between the pre-Spanish Spanish regime and American period. Okay? Let's start with the pre-Spanish era or pre-colonial period. A way of life the same way to the other peoples living in the primitive society, which the Negritos and Itas, the first people who migrated here in the Philippines, so that the only motivation for physical activities were for survival in connection with their quest for foods and protection against the hostile environment where they must live, run, walk, jump, and climb trees.
Dancing was a form of religious activity as to please their gods, to cure their sick, to make the rain come during drought. Rituals involving various body movements and deep breathing exercise to glorify God. And also, cockfighting was considered as an Asian sport in the Philippines, particularly in Palawan.
Next one, the physical education in the Spanish regime was initiated when the plans for a public school system began to develop. In 1863, physical education became a mandatory course for the student to take. Games and dances, the Spanish conquest of the Philippines did not have much effect on the physical education of the people, except the enforced labor among the lower classes of the people in the building of churches.
Bathing and swimming were still the favorite pastime of the Filipinos, which was usually done at the setting of the sun. Cockfighting was continued to be the favorite sports of the Filipinos during the Spanish era. Dancing that to be one of the major physical activities enjoyed by the people. Spanish and European dance were introduced such as fandangos, curachas, waltz, and jotas of Spain. Also, there are some recreational games like pico-pico, a form of hopscotch, and loksong tinik, meaning jumping over the thorns, and the latter handle being a bridge improvised by the fingers of the players, and the paligsahang kalabaw or carabao race.
Lastly, the Filipinos were not deterred from the playing games and engaged in their own native sports. Some were forms of amusement, of pastime, for self-defense, and others were even in the gambling. These undesirable activities were not suppressed by the Spanish government for the help increase the revenue of the crown. Last one, which is the physical education during the American periods. During the American period, the colonial period of the Philippines in 1898 to 1946, the American government was in the charge of providing education in the Philippines. So that after the signing of the Treaty of Paris on December 10, 1898, schools reopened. And also the development of physical education in Philippines happened in the following dates.
In 1910, basketball was first introduced as a game for girls in the carnival meet held in Manila, but was later discontinued in 1914. In 1901, physical exercise was one of the subjects introduced in the public schools and regular program of athletics was developed. In 1905, baseball and track and field were introduced and taught to the young boys in school.
That's all and thank you. Hope you can understand what I have discussed and what I have shared to you about the different historical development of physical education during the Renaissance and modern Europe and down to the Sweden and the Germany and Great Britain, and also in differences physical education during the Philippines in pre-Spanish, Spanish regime, and American periods. That's all and thank you.